The great crystal station floated in the darkness between stars, its surface reflecting the light of distant suns. Inside the massive structure, 12 different alien species sat around a circular table made of pure energy. This was the Galactic Council, the most powerful group in known space. For over 3,000 years they had kept peace across millions of worlds. Today, they had a problem. The species calls itself human, said Zex-9, his metal body clicking as he spoke. His race had replaced their flesh with machines long ago. They come from a small blue planet in what they call the Sol system. The other council members listened carefully. In the center of the table, a hologram showed Earth spinning slowly. Cities dotted the surface, and small ships moved between the planet and its moon. They are new to space travel, continued Zex-9. But our scouts have been watching them for 50 of their years. What we found is troubling. A new image appeared above the table. It showed humans fighting each other with primitive weapons. Then came pictures of bigger wars with machines that destroyed entire cities. The council members shifted in their seats as they watched. They have had over 14,000 wars in their recorded history, Zex-9 said. They fight constantly. They have weapons that could destroy their own planet, yet they keep making more. Velthar, whose people looked like walking trees, spoke next. This matches what our communication intercepts show. Their entertainment focuses on violence. Their news reports are filled with conflict. Even their children play war games. The BY Council leader, an ancient being made of living crystal named Primcore, pulsed with worried light. In all our years of maintaining galactic peace, we have never seen a species so focused on warfare. They are still primitive, but they learn fast. If they spread beyond their system, they will bring chaos to the galaxy, finished Moraxis, whose gas-formed body swirled with dark colors. We all agree on this point. The 12 species had different bodies, different minds, different ways of life. But they all feared the same thing: a young, aggressive species learning to travel between stars. History had taught them what happened when violent races gained advanced technology. We must act now while they are still weak, said Quinella, her blue scales catching the station's light. Our standard protocol for dangerous species is clear. Every council member knew the protocol. First, they would demand surrender. Yao, dangerous species would give up their weapons and accept council rule. If they refused, the hegemony fleet would destroy their military. If they still refused, their entire species would be wiped out. It had worked perfectly for 1,000 years. Prepare the fleet, ordered Primcore. All 12 races will contribute ships. We will show these humans the full power of civilized space. The fleet that assembled at the edge of the Sol system was massive. Over 800 ships, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built. The smallest vessels could destroy cities. The largest could crack planets in half. Admiral Kexto, a warrior from a proud military race, commanded the fleet from his flagship. His people had conquered their entire system before joining the council. He had personally overseen the pacification of 6 dangerous species. This would be his 7th. The human planet grew larger on his screens as the fleet moved closer. He studied the primitive vessels that rose to meet them. Small metal ships with simple chemical rockets. Their weapons looked like toys compared to his energy cannons. Open communications, he ordered. The message went out in every human language, broadcast to every radio and computer on the planet below. The words were simple and direct. People of Earth, I am Admiral Kexto of the Galactic Council Fleet. Your species has been judged too dangerous to exist without supervision. You have 72 of your hours to surrender all weapons and submit to council authority. If you refuse, we will destroy your military forces. If you continue to refuse, we will destroy your species entirely. This is not negotiable. On Earth, the message reached world leaders within minutes. The United Nations building in New York filled with representatives from every nation. Translators worked frantically to make sure everyone understood the threat. President Martinez of the Americas spoke first. Gentlemen, ladies, for the first time in our history, humanity faces a threat that makes our differences meaningless. Prime Minister Chen nodded. The Chinese government agrees. All our conflicts seem small compared to this. One by one, the world's leaders made the same choice. Ancient enemies shook hands. Nations that had fought for generations agreed to work together. Within 24 hours, Earth had its first truly united government. General Harrison, the new Supreme Commander of Earth Defense, addressed the planet. Citizens of Earth, we face an enemy unlike any we have ever known. They come from the stars, and they want us to bow down or die. But we are human. We do not bow. The crowds in every major city cheered. Fear mixed with anger, mixed with determination. Humans had always been at their best when facing impossible odds. We have been preparing for this day longer than you know, Harrison continued. Not for aliens specifically, but for any threat that might come from space. Projects that have been secret for decades are now active. Technologies that seemed like science fiction are real. In hidden bunkers around the world, massive machines hummed to life. Satellites that had been disguised as space junk revealed their true purpose. The moon's dark side, which humans had claimed was empty, suddenly showed signs of activity. The alien fleet waited at the edge of the solar system for Earth's answer. Admiral Kextau was confident it would be surrender. Every species eventually realized they could not fight the combined might of the Galactic Council. But when the 72 hours ended, Earth's response was not what he expected. Admiral Kextau, came the voice of General Harrison over the communication channel. We have considered your offer carefully. Our answer is no. We will not surrender our weapons. We will not submit to your authority. If you want this planet, you will have to take it from us. The Admiral's mandibles clicked in surprise. No species had ever refused the Council's ultimatum. Not once in 1,000 years. You do not understand, he replied. We represent 12 advanced civilizations. Our technology is thousands of years ahead of yours. Your weapons cannot harm us. Surrender now, and some of your people will survive. Admiral, Harrison's voice came back, calm and steady. You don't understand either. We've been killing each other for thousands of years. We've gotten very good at it. And now, for the first time in our history, we're all on the same side. The communication channel went silent. Admiral Kextau looked at his tactical displays. The human ships were pathetic, but there were more of them than his scouts had reported. And there was something else. Energy readings from around the solar system that didn't make sense. Begin the attack, he ordered. Target their military. Installations first. Show them what real power looks like. The hegemony fleet moved forward, energy weapons charging. In a few hours, this primitive species would learn the price of defying the Galactic Council. But as the first energy beams reached Earth's atmosphere, something unexpected happened. Hidden defense platforms suddenly revealed themselves, rising from the planet's surface and emerging from behind asteroids. They fired back with weapons that glowed with dangerous light. The battle for Earth had begun. The first alien energy beams cut through Earth's atmosphere like burning swords. They struck military bases in North America, Europe, and Asia. Ancient buildings that had stood for centuries vanished in flashes of light. Millions of tons of concrete and steel turned to dust in seconds. Admiral Kextau watched the destruction on his screens and nodded with satisfaction. This was how it always went. A few demonstrations of superior firepower and the primitive species would beg for mercy. But something was wrong. Where the alien beams had struck, new structures were rising from the ground. They looked like metal flowers opening their petals, but each petal was a weapon pointing toward space. Sir, reported his tactical officer, we're detecting massive energy signatures from the planet's surface, also from the moon, and... Wait, there are readings from the asteroid belt as well. Before the Admiral could respond, Earth fired back. The hidden defense platforms that had been disguised as hills and buildings revealed their true nature. Railgun batteries that had been built in secret over decades launched projectiles at incredible speeds. The metal slugs, each one the size of a car, streaked toward the alien fleet at a significant fraction of light speed. The first impacts caught the hegemony fleet completely off guard. 3 alien cruisers simply ceased to exist, their advanced shields useless against the kinetic energy weapons. The metal projectiles had been moving so fast that they passed through the alien ships like bullets through paper. Impossible, Admiral, Kextau snarled. How do they have such weapons? More surprises followed. What had looked like space junk floating around Earth suddenly came alive. Satellites that had been disguised as broken debris unfolded like deadly origami, revealing missile launchers and particle beam weapons. They had been there for years, waiting for this moment. The lunar surface split open in a dozen places. Massive cannons rose from hidden bunkers that had been carved deep into the moon's rock. These were not the simple chemical rockets the aliens had expected. These were weapons that had been designed by the greatest military minds on Earth, powered by fusion reactors that had been perfected in secret. All ships, evasive maneuvers, the Admiral ordered, but his fleet was too large and had been too confident. They had approached Earth in standard formation, never imagining they might face real resistance. The human weapons spoke with voices of thunder. Antimatter missiles, their existence unknown to any government on Earth until this day, tracked alien ships with deadly accuracy. When they struck, they left nothing behind but expanding clouds of energy. General Harrison watched the battle from his command center buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around him, screens showed the action from 100 different angles. His staff worked frantically to coordinate the defense. "Orbital Platform 7 is offline," reported Colonel Kim. "Direct hit from an alien destroyer." "Platform 12 has exhausted its ammunition," added Major Santos. "They're withdrawing to reload position." "What about the moon batteries?" Harrison asked, firing at maximum rate. "Luna Base reports all primary targets are engaged." The battle raged for 6 hours. The aliens had superior technology, but the humans had prepared for this fight in ways the Galactic Council had never imagined. Every human weapon had been designed with one purpose: to kill something that came from space. Admiral Kexto's flagship shuddered under multiple hits. His shields were failing and his weapons were overheating from constant firing. Around him, the hegemony fleet was taking losses unlike anything they had experienced in centuries. "Status report," he demanded. "We've lost 43 ships destroyed, 78 damaged," his tactical officer reported with disbelief. "The humans have lost approximately 1/3 of their defensive platforms." The Admiral's 3 hearts sank. His fleet was being hurt badly by a species that had never fought in space before. This was not going according to plan. But the real shock came when his sensors detected movement in the outer solar system. "Sir, we're picking up massive objects accelerating from the direction of the gas giants. They're moving toward us at high speed." On the screens, Admiral Kextow saw something that made no sense. Asteroids were changing course, moving with purpose rather than following natural orbits. As they grew closer, his sensors revealed the truth that chilled his warrior's blood. They were not asteroids. They were ships. Massive, crude-looking vessels that had been disguised to look like space rocks. And there were hundreds of them. "This is impossible," he whispered. "How long have they been preparing?" The answer came in the form of a human transmission. General Harrison's face appeared on every screen in the alien fleet. "Admiral, you asked how long we've been preparing," Harrison said calmly. "The answer is 75 years. Ever since we started listening to radio signals from space and realized we were not alone." The general's image showed archived footage of human scientists and engineers working in secret facilities. "We knew that someday someone might come from the stars. We didn't know if they would be friendly or hostile, but we decided to prepare for the worst." More images flashed by. Underground factories, hidden missile silos, secret space launches, disguised as civilian missions. Every space program for the last 50 years has been dual purpose. Every satellite we launched carried weapons as well as scientific equipment. Every moon mission left behind more than just footprints. The asteroid ships were getting closer now. Admiral Kextow could see that they were built like fortresses, covered in armor and bristling with weapons. They were crude compared to his elegant vessels, but there were so many of them. "We learned something important from our own history," Harrison continued. "Advanced technology doesn't always win wars. Sometimes the side that wants victory more finds a way to win anyway." The first asteroid ship opened fire. Its weapons were not as sophisticated as the alien energy beams, but they fired massive projectiles that hit like hammers. One of Admiral Kextow's destroyers took a direct hit and cracked in half. "All ships fall back to defensive positions," the Admiral ordered. "Reform the battle line." But there was no good position to fall back to. The humans had turned their entire solar system into a weapon. Every planet, every moon, every large asteroid had been prepared for this battle. The asteroid ships were not alone. From the direction of Mars came a new fleet of human vessels. These looked more advanced, sleeker than the disguised asteroids. They moved with the coordination of experienced pilots and fired with deadly accuracy. "How many ships do they have?" Admiral Kextow demanded. His tactical officer was frantically checking sensors. "Impossible to determine, sir. They're launching new vessels from hidden bases throughout the system. And, sir, we're detecting energy signatures that suggest manufacturing is happening in real time." The Admiral realized with growing horror that the humans were not just defending with prepared weapons. They were building new ones even as the battle raged. On Earth's surface, massive factories that had been disguised as ordinary buildings were now operating at full capacity. Assembly lines that had been tested in secret for decades were producing war machines at an incredible rate. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving messages from the Galactic Council. They're demanding a status report." "Admiral, Kextau looked at his screens. His proud fleet was scattered and bleeding. The humans had revealed capabilities that should have been impossible for such a primitive species. His warriors, who had conquered 6-star systems, were being outfought by creatures who had never left their own solar system before. "Tell the Council," he said slowly, "that we have encountered unexpected resistance. Request immediate reinforcements from all member worlds." He paused, watching another of his ships explode under human fire. "And tell them we may need to revise our understanding of what primitive means." The battle continued to rage, but something fundamental had changed. For the first time in 1,000 years, a Galactic Council fleet was not winning easily. The humans had turned their solar system into a fortress, and they were defending it with a fury that surprised even themselves. In the depths of space, the asteroid ships kept coming. The Galactic Council emergency session was unlike any in their 3,000-year history. All 12 member species had gathered their representatives, but instead of the usual calm discussion, there was barely controlled panic. "How is this possible?" demanded Velthar, his tree-like form swaying with agitation. "Admiral Kextau reports losing over 100 ships to a species that learned to fly less than 200 years ago." The crystal being Primcore pulsed with angry red light. "Our intelligence was wrong. These humans are not primitive. They have been preparing for interstellar war for decades." In the center of the chamber, holographic displays showed the battle raging around Earth. The images were disturbing. Galactic Council ships representing the finest military technology in known space were being destroyed by crude but effective human weapons. "Look at these readings," said Moraxis, his gas-form body swirling with dark colors. "They have turned their entire solar system into a weapon. Every planet, every moon shows military installations." Zex-9's mechanical body clicked as he analyzed the data. "Their technology is primitive but clever. They use kinetic weapons that our shields were not designed to stop. They hide their forces among natural objects. They fight like animals." The observation struck the council members silent. In all their wars of pacification, they had fought civilized species, races that followed proper military doctrine, that fought according to the accepted rules of warfare. The humans followed no rules at all. "They are using their own planet's ecosystem as a weapon," reported Quinella, her blue scales dim with worry. "Our bioscanners detect viral agents in space around their world. When our ships are damaged, these organisms infiltrate the hull breaches." The Council had seen many things in their long rule, but this was new. The humans had somehow created biological weapons that could survive in the vacuum of space and target alien physiology. "It gets worse," continued Quinella. "The viruses are adaptive. They learn from each ship they infect and become more effective against the next target." Primcore's light flashed brighter. "Are you telling me these humans have weaponized evolution itself?" "It appears so. They call them nanoswarms, microscopic machines that mimic biological behavior but spread faster and adapt quicker than any natural organism." The implications were terrifying. Every galactic species had biological weaknesses. Their advanced medical science could handle known diseases, but these human weapons were designed to learn and change in real time. "What does Admiral Kextau request?" asked the council leader. The military representative, a warrior from the same species as the admiral, stood to address the council. "He requests immediate reinforcement from all member worlds, full deployment of our most advanced weapons and—" The warrior hesitated. "Authorization to use planet-killer weapons." Silence filled the chamber. Planet-killer weapons had not been used in over 500 years. They were reserved for the most extreme threats to galactic civilization. "You believe the humans represent such a threat?" Primcore asked. "Consider the evidence," the warrior replied. "In less than 1 day of fighting, they have proven capable of matching our finest fleet. They use weapons and tactics we have never encountered. They show no signs of surrender despite massive casualties." The warrior activated a new holographic display showing human population centers. Despite the ongoing battle, the cities were not in panic. Instead, they showed organized activity as civilians supported the war effort. "Most concerning of all," the warrior continued, "they appear to be enjoying themselves. Our psychologists report that human combat transmissions show excitement, not fear. They are having fun fighting us." This information disturbed the council more than ship losses or new weapons. Every civilized species fought only when necessary, viewing warfare as a regrettable necessity. The humans seemed to view it as entertainment. "Very well," Primcore decided. "All member worlds will contribute their finest ships and weapons. We We'll show these humans what true power looks like. But even as the council made this decision, new reports were arriving from the battle zone that would change everything. The human counterattack had begun in earnest. What the aliens had thought were crude asteroid ships revealed their true nature. They were not ships at all, but mobile factories. As they moved through space, they were building more weapons, more vessels, more war machines. The asteroid, labeled Factory Ship Alpha, opened like a flower in full bloom. From its interior came dozens of smaller vessels, each one carrying weapons specifically designed to target alien technology. These new ships were different from the earlier human craft. They moved with predatory grace, hunting alien vessels like wolves hunting deer. Their weapons were not the simple kinetic projectiles of the defense platforms. These were sophisticated energy weapons that seemed to learn from each shot fired. Admiral Kexto watched in growing horror as his fleet faced weapons that adapted in real time. A human ship would fire at one of his destroyers, miss, then fire again with improved accuracy. By the third shot, the human weapon would hit exactly where it needed to cause maximum damage. They are using artificial intelligence, his science officer reported, but not like ours. Their AI seems designed specifically for warfare. The difference was important. Galactic Council AI was created to govern, to maintain peace, to solve complex social problems. Human AI had apparently been created to kill as efficiently as possible. But the real surprise came from Jupiter. The massive gas giant had always been just background scenery in the battle, a distant presence on the edge of sensor range. Now it was moving. Not the planet itself, but something in its atmosphere. The Great Red Spot, a storm larger than Earth that had raged for centuries, was changing. Energy readings from its center were off the charts. What are they doing? Admiral, Kextow demanded. His answer came in the form of a transmission from General Harrison. Admiral, we would like to demonstrate why attacking our solar system was a mistake. The Great Red Spot erupted. What emerged was not a natural phenomenon, but a weapon of incredible size. The humans had somehow built a device inside Jupiter's storm, hidden from all detection until this moment. The weapon fired a beam of energy unlike anything in Galactic Council records. It swept across space like a searchlight, and every ship it touched simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not vaporized, simply gone, as if they had never been there at all. 12 alien vessels vanished in as many seconds. That was our prototype, Harrison's voice continued calmly. We have larger models preparing to fire. Admiral Kextow felt something he had not experienced in his 50 years of military service. Absolute terror. The humans had hidden weapons inside their own solar system's planets. They had turned natural phenomena into instruments of war. All ships, emergency withdrawal, he ordered. Fall back beyond the orbital limit of their outermost planet. But retreat was not simple. The humans had prepared for that too. What had looked like empty space was filled with invisible mines. Artificial gravity wells that trapped ships trying to escape. Weapons platforms disguised as space debris. The hegemony fleet found itself caught in a maze of death. Every direction led to new dangers. Every attempt to withdraw brought them into range of fresh human weapons. Sir, his communications officer, reported with a shaking voice. The humans are broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it through, the Admiral ordered. General Harrison's face appeared on the screen again, but this time he was not alone. Behind him stood representatives from every major human government and military organization. They all had the same expression, cold determination mixed with barely controlled rage. Members of the Galactic Council fleet, Harrison began, you came to our solar system to demand our surrender. You threatened to destroy our species if we did not submit to your authority. The general paused, letting his words sink in. You have now seen what happens when you threaten humanity. We have spent our entire history learning to fight. We have studied war like other species study art or philosophy. And we have prepared our solar system to defend itself against exactly this kind of threat. Behind Harrison, screens showed images of weapons the aliens had not yet encountered. Planet-sized installations, mobile weapons platforms larger than continents, energy weapons that made the Jupiter device look small by comparison. This is our home, Harrison continued. We were born here. We evolved here. We learned to survive here. And if you think you can take it from us, you are about to learn why that was the biggest mistake in galactic history. The transmission ended. Admiral Kextow stared at his screens, watching his proud fleet trying desperately to escape the human solar system. For the first time in Council history, a pacification mission had become a retreat, but he feared it was already too late for retreat. The retreat was a nightmare that would haunt Admiral Kexto for the rest of his life. What had begun as a routine pacification mission had become the worst military disaster in Galactic Council history. The humans were not content to simply drive off the alien fleet. They pursued their enemies like hunters chasing wounded prey, using weapons that seemed to appear from nowhere. Saturn revealed its secret as the fleeing ships passed near the ringed planet. What everyone had assumed were natural ice and rock formations suddenly came alive. Billions of tiny objects that had been hiding among the planet's rings launched themselves at the alien vessels. Each projectile was small, no bigger than a human fist, but they moved with incredible speed and precision. Admiral Kexto watched in horror as thousands of these guided missiles swarmed his ships like angry insects. "Point defense systems, maximum fire," he ordered. His ship's defensive weapons blazed continuously, destroying hundreds of the small projectiles. But there were too many. For every missile they shot down, 10 more took its place. The ring system seemed to have an unlimited supply. The worst part was how the missiles behaved. They did not simply explode on impact. Instead, they burrowed into the hull of each ship they struck, then began eating their way through the metal, like acid. Within minutes, proud warships that had served the Council for decades were collapsing as their own structure was consumed from within. "They have turned their entire star system into a weapon," reported his tactical officer. "Every planet shows military activity." As if summoned by those words, Mars chose that moment to reveal its true purpose. The red planet, which human colonists had claimed was being prepared for future settlement, split open like a cracking egg. Inside was not a colony. It was a factory complex so vast it boggled the mind. Manufacturing facilities covered the entire planetary surface. Assembly lines stretched from pole to pole. And from this impossible industrial center came a stream of war machines unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The new ships were different from the crude asteroid vessels or the adapted civilian craft the humans had used earlier. These were purpose-built for war, sleek and deadly, incorporating technology that the aliens were only now beginning to understand. "They have been studying our ships," Admiral Kexto realized with growing dread. "Every weapon we fired, every shield we raised, every tactic we used, they were learning from it all." The human war machines moved with predatory intelligence, targeting the weak points in alien ship designs. They used the Council's own tactics against them, but with a vicious creativity that no civilized species would consider. One human ship pretended to be damaged, broadcasting false distress signals. When 2 alien vessels moved to investigate, the damaged ship revealed hidden weapons and destroyed both attackers before they could react. Another group of human ships spread out in what looked like a defensive formation, then suddenly converged on a single alien cruiser from 6 directions at once. The attack was coordinated with split-second timing that should have been impossible for creatures that had never fought in space before. "How do they coordinate so well?" demanded the Admiral. "Unknown, sir. They seem to share information instantaneously across their entire fleet. Either they have communication technology superior to ours, or," the science officer hesitated. "Or what?" "Or they think as one mind when fighting, sir. Like a school of fish or a flock of birds." The comparison was disturbing but accurate. The human ships moved with the fluid coordination of a single organism, anticipating each other's actions perfectly. When one group engaged alien ships, another would move to cut off their escape route. When aliens tried to concentrate their fire on a single human vessel, 2 more would appear from unexpected angles. But the true horror was still to come. Venus, the hottest planet in the solar system, suddenly became active. The thick clouds that covered its surface began to swirl in unnatural patterns. Then, like rain falling upward, droplets of acid began to rise from the planet's atmosphere. These droplets formed into streams, then rivers, then torrents of corrosive liquid that reached into space. Any alien ship caught in these acid streams began to dissolve, their advanced hull materials eaten away in minutes. "They have weaponized an entire planet's atmosphere," Admiral Kexto's science officer reported in disbelief. The acid streams were guided by some kind of magnetic field system, reaching out like tentacles to grab ships hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. Once caught, there was no escape. The alien vessels simply melted away into nothing. Even the outer planets joined the attack. Neptune's moons revealed themselves as disguised missile launchers, sending projectiles with nuclear warheads on intercept courses with the fleeing fleet. Uranus released clouds of metallic particles that interfered with alien sensors and communications. The asteroid belt, which the aliens had dismissed as empty space debris, came alive with hidden weapons. What had looked like ordinary rocks revealed themselves as camouflaged gun platforms, each one targeting alien ships with weapons that seemed to ignore shields and armor entirely. Admiral Kexto realized that humanity had spent decades, maybe centuries, preparing for this exact scenario. Every natural feature of their solar system had been converted into a weapon. Every asteroid, every moon, every planet had been prepared to kill anything that threatened Earth. "Sir," his communications officer called out urgently. "We're receiving a priority message from the Galactic Council." The holographic image of Primcore appeared, the crystal being's light pulsing with agitation. "Admiral, what is your status? We are detecting massive energy signatures from the human system that should not be possible." "Council leader," Admiral Kextow replied, his voice hollow with defeat. "The humans have capabilities far beyond our intelligence estimates. They have converted their entire solar system into a fortress. Request immediate evacuation of all remaining ships." "Evacuate?" Primcore's light flashed brighter. "Admiral, you command the finest fleet in galactic history. How can you be defeated by a single primitive world?" The answer came in the form of new contacts appearing on the long-range sensors. From the direction of Pluto, the solar system's outermost planet, came something that made Admiral Kextow's remaining heart sink. It was a space station. But not just any station. This was a military installation larger than most moons. It had been hidden behind Pluto for who knew how long, completely undetected by Council scouts. "Council leader," the Admiral said quietly, "with respect, we severely underestimated what primitive means to this species. They have been preparing for interstellar war since before they achieved spaceflight. Every space mission, every planetary exploration, every scientific discovery, all of it was preparation for this moment." The massive station at Pluto's edge began to move, accelerating toward the battle zone with impossible speed. As it approached, its true size became clear. It was not just larger than a moon, it was larger than some planets. "What are your recommendations, Admiral?" Primcore asked, his tone noticeably less confident than before. Admiral Kextow looked at his tactical displays. His fleet was scattered, damaged, and being hunted by weapons that seemed to anticipate their every move. Around him, the human solar system continued to reveal new surprises, new weapons, new horrors designed specifically to kill anyone who threatened Earth. "Council leader, I recommend we leave this system immediately and never return. These humans are not a species that can be pacified. They are a species that has spent its entire evolution learning to fight and kill. And they are very, very good at it." The communication went silent for a moment. When Primcore spoke again, his voice was different, smaller, uncertain. "Admiral, the full council is authorizing the use of our most extreme weapons. We are sending reinforcements from all 12 member worlds. Whatever it takes, we cannot allow this challenge to our authority to succeed." Admiral Kextow closed his eyes. He knew what those orders meant. The council was escalating the conflict to a level not seen in over 1,000 years. They were treating the humans as an existential threat to galactic civilization. He was no longer sure they were wrong. "Understood, Council leader. But I fear we may have awakened something that was better left sleeping." As if in response to his words, the human forces began a coordinated assault that would later be called the Solar Siege, the moment when humanity stopped defending and started hunting. The final phase of the battle began with something no one in galactic history had ever seen: the sun itself being used as a weapon. General Harrison stood in his command center, watching as decades of secret preparation reached their ultimate purpose. Around him, scientists and military officers worked with calm precision, their voices steady despite the magnitude of what they were about to attempt. "Solar manipulation systems are online," reported Dr. Sarah Chen, the project's lead scientist. "All orbital platforms are in position around the sun." "What's our target window?" Harrison asked. "The alien fleet is moving through the optimal firing zone now, sir. We have approximately 7 minutes before they escape the effective range." Harrison nodded. Operation Solar Flare had been humanity's most secret project, hidden even from most world governments until the invasion began. For 30 years, human scientists had been placing specialized equipment in solar orbit, learning to control the star that gave Earth life. "Dr. Chen, you have authorization to proceed with Solar Flare." Around the sun, dozens of invisible platforms began their work. They were not weapons in the traditional sense, but tools designed to trigger and direct the natural fury of a star. Magnetic field generators the size of cities began to focus solar energy into a coherent beam. Admiral Kextow was trying to reform his scattered fleet when his sensors detected impossible energy readings from the human star. "What are they doing now?" he demanded. His science officer's voice was filled with terror. "Sir, they appear to be manipulating solar magnetic fields. The energy buildup is unprecedented." Before the admiral could respond, the sun erupted. Massive solar flare, larger and more focused than any natural phenomenon, lanced out from the star's surface. But this was not the random burst of a stellar storm. This was a directed beam of pure stellar energy, guided by human technology and aimed with surgical precision. The beam swept across space like the finger of an angry god. Every alien ship it touched simply vanished, converted instantly to energy. The flare was so intense that it temporarily blinded sensors throughout the solar system. In 15 seconds, 3/4 of the hegemony fleet ceased to exist. Admiral Kextow's flagship survived only because it was at the edge of the formation. His ship's shields held for exactly 2.3 seconds against the solar energy before failing completely. The hull began to melt, the air began to burn, and only emergency systems saved his crew from instant death. "Full retreat," he screamed into his communications system. "All surviving ships, emergency jump to hyperspace, get us out of this system now." But the humans were not finished. As the surviving alien ships tried to escape, they found their hyperspace engines would not function. Some kind of field was preventing faster-than-light travel, trapping them in the solar system like insects, in a web. "Hyperspace inhibitor field detected," his tactical officer reported. "Source unknown, but it's covering the entire system." The truth was worse than they imagined. Humanity had not just prepared weapons for this day, they had prepared a prison. General Harrison's voice came over all communication channels, addressing both his own forces and the trapped alien fleet. "Admiral Kextow, this is General Harrison. As you have discovered, our solar system is now sealed. Your ships cannot leave." On the screens throughout the remaining alien vessels, Harrison's image appeared. Behind him stood representatives of every nation on Earth. But their expressions were no longer just determined. They were triumphant. "We want to make sure you understand what has happened here today," Harrison continued. "Your Galactic Council sent a fleet to demand our surrender. You threatened to destroy our species if we refused to submit." The general paused, letting his words sink in. "We refused, and now your fleet is destroyed. Your survivors are trapped, and we are going to send a message to your council that they will never forget." What happened next would be talked about in whispers across the galaxy for generations to come. The human fleet, no longer needed for defense, began to hunt down the remaining alien ships with methodical precision. But they did not simply destroy them. Instead, they disabled the vessels and captured the crews. The alien prisoners were treated well, fed properly, given medical care. But they were also forced to watch as humanity demonstrated capabilities that defied everything the galaxy thought it knew about warfare. The massive station from Pluto arrived in the inner system and revealed its true purpose. It was not just a weapons platform, but a shipyard capable of building vessels in hours rather than years. The humans were not just defending, they were preparing to take the fight to their enemies. Council Leader, Admiral Kextow transmitted to Primcore in his final message. "Do not send reinforcements, do not attempt to rescue us. These humans are not what we thought they were." The transmission was intercepted and rebroadcast by human systems, ensuring that every alien in the solar system heard the Admiral's words. "They have been preparing for interstellar war for longer than we have existed as a council. Their entire species, their entire civilization, has been shaped by constant conflict. They know warfare in ways we cannot comprehend." The Admiral looked directly into the camera, his expression haunted. "Council Leader, I have seen what they are capable of. They turned their star into a weapon. They converted every planet in their system into a fortress. They have technology that we do not understand and tactics that we cannot predict." He paused, gathering his strength for his final words. "Most importantly, they are not afraid of us. They never were. When we threatened to destroy their species, they saw it as an interesting challenge. They are having fun fighting us, Council Leader. They enjoy war in a way that no civilized being should." The transmission ended. On the council station, 12 different species sat in absolute silence. The holographic displays showed the aftermath of the battle: human ships patrolling their solar system, human weapons platforms standing ready, human forces that seemed to grow stronger with each passing hour. For the first time in their 3,000-year history, the Galactic Council had no idea what to do. "They defeated our finest fleet," whispered Velthar. How is such a thing possible? They used their own star as a weapon, added more Axis. No species in galactic history has ever attempted such a thing. Primcor's light pulsed weakly. What do we tell our people? How do we explain that a single primitive world has crushed the combined might of 12 civilizations? The answer came from an unexpected source. A new transmission was arriving from the human solar system. But this time, it was not from General Harrison or any human military leader. Instead, the image showed an elderly human woman sitting behind a simple wooden desk. She wore no uniform, carried no weapons, showed no signs of military rank. But when she spoke, her words carried the weight of an entire species behind them. Leaders of the Galactic Council, my name is Elena Vasquez. I am the elected representative of the human species. I speak for Earth and all who call it home. She leaned forward slightly, her eyes looking directly into the camera. You sent a fleet to our system with demands that we surrender or face destruction. We have given you our answer. Your fleet is destroyed. Your survivors are our prisoners. Your technology is being studied by our scientists. The woman's voice remained calm and pleasant, as if she were discussing the weather rather than the complete military defeat of a galactic empire. We are keeping your prisoners safe and comfortable while we decide what to do with them. We are also keeping them as witnesses to what they have seen here, so they can report back to you accurately. She paused, her expression becoming slightly less friendly. But we want to be very clear about something. This attack on our system was unprovoked. You came here as invaders and conquerors. We responded as any species has the right to respond when threatened with extinction. Another pause. When she continued, her voice carried an edge that made every council member listening feel a chill. We are returning your survivors to you with a simple message. Earth is not to be disturbed again. Ever. We will not seek conflict with your species, but we will not tolerate threats to our existence. The woman stood up from her desk, and the camera pulled back to show that she was not alone. Behind her stood representatives of every human government, military, and scientific organization. Thousands of people all looking directly at the camera with the same expression of calm determination. If you leave us alone, we will leave you alone. But if you ever threaten Earth again, we will not limit our response to defensive measures. We have learned much about your technology today. We know where your worlds are located, and we have time to prepare. Elena Vasquez smiled, but it was not a warm expression. We suggest you choose wisely. The transmission ended. In the council chamber, absolute silence reigned. 12 species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia sat stunned by the simple threat delivered by a species they had dismissed as primitive savages. Hours passed, then days. The council members returned to their homeworlds to consult with their governments. Emergency sessions were held. Military advisors were consulted. Scientists analyzed every scrap of data from the battle. Finally, after 2 weeks of debate, the Galactic Council issued their official response to the human ultimatum. They said nothing at all.